Welcome to the Teaching Autism and Special Education Community Podcast. Hi, I'm Nikki, a passionate special educator, autism advocate, resource creator with over a decade of experience, and you may know me as the face behind Teaching Autism. This podcast is your go-to place for practical tips, hands-on strategies, and inspiring and funny stories to support special educators all around the world, whether it's building independence, creating engaging lessons, or finding that elusive work-life balance. I'm here to help you thrive inside and outside of the classroom. Let's dive into today's episode and make a difference together. Hey friends, welcome back to the Teaching Autism podcast. If you're new here, I'm Nikki, and today I'm pulling back the curtain on exactly how I wrap up my school year so that I can actually enjoy my summer without any last minute stress or guilt or spending my entire summer thinking of all the things I have to do. Now, this isn't one of those spend your whole summer laminating talks. In fact, it's the opposite. And I'm going to walk you through how I shift our classroom routine in those final few weeks. And I involve my staff in a super easy prep system. I reuse and rotate materials to save time and money. And I get everything ready before I even break out the sunscreen. So if you're dreaming of a peaceful summer, but still want to feel prepped and grounded for next year, you are in the right place. So let's dive in. So first off, let's get one thing straight. Summer is for rest. And I really want to start here because there's so much pressure on teachers to be productive all the time. But honestly, I don't believe in grinding through the summer. Once the year ends, I want to be in my garden, in my pajamas, snuggling Max and Luna, my dogs, if you're new here, and not even thinking about Velcro or laminators or printers that are jamming again. So my solution, I do a little sprint of prep at the end of the year and sometimes maybe the first couple of days of break, and then I can switch off completely for the rest of summer. So let's talk about that last month of school. As we get closer to the end of the year, I switch up our routine a little bit. Not too much, just enough to make the day flow better for both staff and students. And I think that as much as us as staff are ready for the end of the year, I think sometimes we forget that our students are also kind of ready for that summer break coming up as well. So this little shift really benefits everyone in my classroom. So we get all of our focused work like adapted books, task boxes, communication goals, craft, science, art, you name it, done in the morning. And that's when our students have the most energy and focus, and staff as well. Then after lunch, we shift to a more relaxed, sort of student-led activities. So things like water play, sensory bins, mess-free science experiments, chalk, outdoor play, music, crafts. These are still educational and engaging, but they don't require my entire team at once, which means we can start multitasking. So I'm going to discuss where the magic happens, and that is staff rotation and the prep system. So while my students are doing their afternoon activities, I will rotate staff into our prep station, and this is literally just a table with some label drawers for cut, laminate, Velcro, and bind. It is nothing fancy, but it is really effective. We can see what needs doing at a glance, and we're not scrambling the week before school starts trying to remember what still needs prepping. We take turns, so almost all my staff bar one will supervise students, and then one member of staff will prep, and then we switch so that it flows and that everybody gets a chance to do some different things as well. Now, if I'm very lucky and I have a few students off for whatever reason, sometimes I can spare two staff, but that's kind of the unicorn of the end of school year. But if I can take advantage of that, I absolutely will. So I always have one staff member as well prep arts and crafts for the entire year. And I actually have a blog post on this. I'll link that in the show notes for you to find out more. But basically, they will prep crafts for the entire year, for holidays, seasons, celebrations, themes and topics that we're doing, any skills I need working on. And they'll all be ready and labeled in little folders and stored in a big container. And then throughout the year, we can just reach in and grab those crafts. And that actually works really well if I have staff off sick and I'm looking for some quick time filler activities. I can go to the craft drawer and pull something out. If I'm out of the classroom for whatever reason, maybe there's an emergency and I've been called out and my staff are running sort of short-staffed, crafts always work really well. So a member of staff can just go into this box and pull out a craft. So that has been probably the best system that I've ever put into place in the classroom. So I'll link the blog post. You can read a little bit more about that. And then in the afternoons, I'll also start refreshing the classroom. So I'll take things off the walls. I'll involve students as well so they can help me. We typically order a cardboard pizza box for each student, and they can decorate the top of that, and that becomes their sort of box to take things home in at the end of the school year. So I'll have them help me take their work and their photos and things like that off the wall and put them in the pizza boxes. So that helps keep them involved, and it helps me to sort of work through that to-do list as well. I'll also go through our visuals and our symbols and things and see, like, you know, do any need refreshing? Do I need more of anything? Are any missing? Do any sort of need completely redoing? Are they sort of ruined? Sort of that thing. And then I'll also replace any sort of worn out visuals like first and then boards, choice boards and things like that. If I have new students coming in, that I have more this year than the previous year, I'll also prep new visual schedules, and I run my classroom color coded. And again, I'll link a blog post to that in the show notes so you can find out more if you want. So each schedule, the base is also color coded for each student. So what I'll do is I often keep the spare ones of those that I'm not using each year in a big box, but there's been some years where I've had more students than ever before. So that just means like adding more colours and prepping new ones like that. And I'll also swap out communication boards as well. It is, I find, so much easier to do this while I'm still in the rhythm of the year than to come back mid-August and not only try and remember what I need, but also be motivated enough to sort of work through all these things as well. And here's something that I say all the time: you do not need the new everything each year. So I reuse and I rotate pretty much everything. I reuse so much. I rotate my task boxes, I recycle crafts and visuals, I pull out adapted books I haven't used in a while and they feel fresh all over again. I'll pull out themed adapted books and task boxes for, you know, celebrations like Halloween and Christmas, Thanksgiving, things like that year after year, so that I only have to prep them one year and then I can continue to use them year after year. So that brings down my workload so much. And that's why I love using things like task boxes, adapted binders, visual routines and schedules, because once they're done, and you just need to refresh a few pieces here and there and boom, you're ready to go again. So it saves money, time, and honestly, my sanity sometimes. So after that last week or two of organised chaos, sometimes I'll take 1 or 2 days at the start of summer just to sort of finish off any last minute prep, put up any display items I know I'll want for back to school time. I will go through and organise my filing trays and drawers. I'll double check my visuals and that the task boxes are ready to go. And then I'm done, like completely done. No guilt, no rushing back into school the week before it starts. Just me chilling with a cold drink, knowing that I've already set myself up for success. So I don't want to leave you hanging, and I want to be able to give you a shortcut. So if you're listening and thinking, okay, Nikki, I love it, but I have no idea where to start, I've got you. So I've been doing this now for well over, what year are we? 2025, well over 13 years. And I ended up putting together, because I used to get so many requests for this, not just online, but from colleagues in my school as well. So I put together this whole end of year Google Drive, and it's basically sort of your go-to folder for those final weeks. And I have things in there like scavenger hunts, theme day activities, sensory play ideas, visual supports, fine motor tasks, adapted books, and so much more. And I'll link it in the show notes if you want to check that out as well. And then when you're ready to start thinking ahead, and I mean lightly sort of, like me with a cup of tea in my pajamas in the garden, I also put together a back to school Google Drive that is filled with pretty much everything you could want for those first few months of school. So things like crafts, activities, morning meeting slides, editable staff forms, classroom labels, visual routines, resources, activities, all those sorts of things. And it's everything that I use to start my year calm and confident. And these are things that I have used for years and years and years. These are things that I now use successfully after years of trial and error and trying to find the things that work for my students in my classroom. So I put them all together in Google Drives just to make it easier and to be able to share with you guys as well. So to wrap up today's episode, because I like to keep these short and sweet, I shift our classroom routine. My staff rotate through different prep tasks. We get crafts, visuals, and task boxes done ahead of time. I reuse pretty much everything that I can, and I try to get everything finished before summer really starts. Sometimes that does go into the first day or two of the summer break, but that's okay. I'd rather give up that than sort of have it on my mind that I need to get back in the classroom and get the things done. I can just fully switch off. No guilt, no rushing around, just peace and maybe a cheeky afternoon nap every now and again. So just remember that you don't need to do everything. You just need to prep what brings you peace. And if that's cutting out visual schedules while watching Netflix at home, that's totally fine too. All right, my friends. So that is it for today's episode. I hope this gave you some helpful ideas and maybe permission to take a breath, step back and actually enjoy your summer. And if you're doing end of year prep right now, I'd love to see it. Tag me on Instagram, Teaching Autism, or pop into my DMs. Tell me what you're working on. Head on over to the show notes for all the links for everything that you could need. And just remember that you've got this. I'm rooting for you, and see you next time.